I'm James, I'm a mechanical engineering student in the UK. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I only study 3 hours a day. Having that strict time limit is actually one of my superpowers because it's allowed me to get more done in less time and do other things like fitness and making this YouTube channel, and it's made me a better person all round by being more efficient. Why I'm making this video is because out there in YouTube, you get this myth of that you need to study like 8 hours, 12 hours a day. But in my personal opinion, studying less is better because you can have a deeper experience and you can make sure you're making it as efficient as possible. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the benefits of studying less and then 5 actionable tips you can use to still get great results despite not studying that much. Why study less? So the first one is it helps you build good habits. So when you study, you're doing what's essential, you're making it efficient, and you're being really focused, because when you only have a limited amount of time every day, you have to do what's essential and you have to do what's important for that day. And it allows you to simplify things, because if you just focus on one thing every day for 365 days, you've got a massive amount of work done. So keep taking it slow, having ability to rest throughout the day and rest your brain. And that's another thing, is it allows you to have time for other things in your life apart from studying. So for me, I'm a big reader. I love going for workouts, running and going to judo, and it allows me to have other time for my hobbies and build my identity apart from studying, because it's not everything. And I think the final thing is it allows you to stop procrastinating by Parkinson's law. When you're studying in a place, you will be doing just that and nothing else, okay? And it allows you to build this good habit that eventually, if it comes to your final exams, you can study for 8 hours a day and be productive because you've built healthy habits when it comes to studying, and not just focusing on the non-essential and procrastinating, but focusing on the essential when you study. So the first tip I would like to share is train like an athlete. I used to be a rugby player. I got into Saracens Academy. One thing I learned from that experience is the discipline and the hard work it takes to work out and put all this time and effort into something, but also the importance of rest, because if you don't have that, your muscles don't recover and you can't train well enough for game day. And you have to think of that like studying, and I think it's very, very similar. So when you're studying, make sure you have training sessions. For me at university, I have training sessions in my calendar. I block it off in time. I do it every week at the same place. It could be a library, it could be at your house, it could be anywhere. Have a location where I go to do that training session. So when I used to play rugby, I used to do it after school from like 6 till 8, and I'd have that training block where I would go there and I would be training for rugby. So try and make that the same for studying. Try and make training blocks throughout the day where you know where it is, when it is, and what you're doing. And if you treat your studies like you're an athlete, you'll do so much better, because then outside of that, you'll be recovering. And for me as a rugby player, I couldn't train my muscles for more than like 2 hours, 3 hours a day. And I believe that's the same with your brain, because it's like a muscle. And this makes it really helpful, because when you're studying, you need to make sure what you're studying is really, really hard and difficult. And this comes to the second point: obsess over the quality of your lead measures. So what I mean by this is, for me, when I study, if I want to do really well, I know the main lead measure for me to get there, the action I have to take every day, is reviewing my flashcards and reviewing past paper questions actively and efficiently. And when you know your lead measure, so whatever it is you're trying to achieve, so for our example here is studying, you can obsess over the quality of that lead measure. So when I study, I'm making sure I'm putting 2 active recall things every day. So that could be reviewing my Anki flashcards for 90 minutes and then doing a past paper for 90 minutes. And when you've done those 2 things throughout the day and you're actually active in it, you've got your headphones in, you've got a timer on to make yourself anxious whilst you're doing the past paper, it makes it a much more active process. And this ability to focus on the active recall side of things, focus on the lead measure to get you to your grade, allows you to break down a stressful goal and reflect on it. Like a notebook like this, you can track the number of hours you do every day, and you can just track the amount of input you put in, and you could obsess over the input goal, because as the Stoics say, focus on the things that are inside your control and accept everything outside your control. And if you can obsess over the input of your lead measures, which in my opinion for studying is active recall, and the evidence and the research shows that as well, you'll get to the right places, okay? And everything will be a third part of this video, which is making the lead measure simple but hard, okay? And how I do this is I filter all my past paper questions and all the essential information I need to memorize for my exam, and also like stuff I want to learn just for my own interest. I put it into Anki, okay, so that it will be uploaded into my head by active recall. And this helps me simplify studying and not get overwhelmed. So when I sit down, when I schedule my day the night before I go to bed, all I have to do is say, I reviewed this deck yesterday, let's review this deck actively. And I try and limit myself to 1 deck a day, so that on average every week I'm getting through each one of my modules at university at least once, and that helps me get through my modules and do it not very fast but slow and active, and have a quality active recall session. Making it simple allows you to just focus on making it as hard as possible and as active as possible as well. The fourth tip is make it yourself. Why this is important is because it builds this ability for you to teach yourself something. So before all of my lectures, I go through the lecture slides and I try and teach myself by making Anki flashcards from each heading and the rest of the lecture slide, and I go through that actively, and then I teach myself it. And this is great because it actually builds this innate curiosity of the subject, because you're teaching yourself it and you're learning that ability, and it becomes a much more enjoyable, fun process. And it's quicker because when you come back to the lecture recording, or you're actually going to the lecture, which is good, you can ask good questions and you can understand the material much better than you would have if you didn't teach yourself a subject in the meantime. So that's how I study. Final tip is gamify studying by making it fun. I'm a big believer in this. Even though you've made this lead measure now for this wild goal of getting A stars in your exams or top of your class, you want to gamify it. And how you can do this is for my rugby team, we would always have a scoreboard, with the score, who's winning the game, and that builds this competition and it builds this drive to want to do well, right? Because we're all naturally quite competitive. And how I do this is with Anki, you can use a heat map, which allows you to keep score of how many flashcards you do every day and keep accountability of doing flashcards every day. And this is really helpful for me because I'm naturally quite competitive. I like to compete with myself, and it makes it more like a game. And when I review my flashcards, I use a little controller when I do it, and that makes it a bit more enjoyable. And making it like a game helps you enjoy the process of it. Another thing is gamify your perception upon things. Seth Godin's blog is I get to do stuff instead of I have to. And this is really important because when you come down and you sit to study, the first thing you do is I have to do this. No, little mind shift of I get to do it. It's an opportunity I wish I would have had, and I'm happy and I'm fulfilled that I'm here right now. And if you say I get to, when you sit down, your time and the moment within studying feels much more valuable because you're not doing it all the time, and you get to do it because it's a privilege to be able to study, to be able to teach yourself, to be able to learn things deeply and learn the world deeply. That's why I love maths, physics and chemistry in the STEM field, because I get to learn these things deeply. It's not something I have to do, it's something I get to do. That little mindset shift really changed a lot of things for me, because when I sit down to make these videos as well, I get to do it. It's not I have to do it, it's something that's a privilege. The conclusion of this video is take it slow, obsess over the quality of your studying, and work at a natural pace that suits you. If you guys can handle more than 3 hours or less than 3 hours, that completely works. Start with something small and work up. Even if you haven't done anything, start with an hour a day. Make a plan and just try and stick to it for a week. And if you do that for a month, keep building and keep building until you can do 8 hours again. But start small. Don't overwhelm yourself with so much stuff. I read Slow Productivity by Carl Newport, which inspired me to make this video, because I feel like our culture is very hustle. It's we need to keep going and all this stuff. I really recommend to read that book. Deep Work as well, I recommend to read. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, and ask me any questions in the comments. I will respond as quickly as possible. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your week, and thank you very much. Peace, guys. See you later.